المحاضرة الرابعة والأخيرة لليوم راح تكون بعنوان خطط استمرارية الخدمات ضرورة وعملية مستمرة، راح يلقيها مروان خلف من ITS. تفضل.
What we're doing in this presentation is actually we are one of the biggest system integrators in the region. So what I'm going to do right now, I'm going to present the knowledge that we have through which we have done a lot of successful stories in protecting critical services across many countries, across many sectors. What our technology partners, actually, all of them are technology partners for system integrators like ITS, through which we've been working all together to utilize their technologies in our solutions, through which we can achieve the best things for critical services availability. Business continuity is a topic. It's old and new, and it's continuous. We've been focusing on this lately for the last 7 years because so many challenges shows up on the surface, and we have faced a lot of situations. It's not only our region, it's across all other regions. That's why the focus right now is on business continuity, integrating all other solutions to provide the availability of the service for all customers, regardless if it's public or even private. So that's what we have in our agenda. It's not going to take that much of time because I will say it in a very precise way. Challenges that e-government is facing, information of management and security, all these things, failure, business continuity and disaster recoveries, data protections, technologies, enterprise and resilience related standards, business continuity planning. The challenges. E-government lately is transforming most of its services into e-services, and it's going to be service for all other customers, and they can do their work away from, let's say, going back to government premises. So it's all about their services to be provided and should not be interrupted, through which citizens can do their job and they can rely on this service to do it smooth and quick. Lately we've seen that a lot of services coming in, new services coming in, and still there are so many other services, government trying to deploy it over internet. They face a lot of challenges through which actually they pass through a behavior of the citizen. Citizens are well educated nowadays, and they are demanding much more flexible and reliable services through which they can do any process in a very easy, smooth way. And this is facilitated by the new transformation of what's happening by everyone is using smartphones. Deploying mobility on these things is a continuous journey for the government. That's why increasing population's demand on the electronic services and G2G information and services exchange transformation journey has started. The time new technologies shows up in the market, people that started to work and to use it, and new demands and new ideas came in, and government is trying to adapt and to deploy. All right. If you have a service and it's not available, it's going to be a useless waste of money and time. Everybody has to go back to government premises. To have the service available, we have to go through many stages through which a journey can start to build a reliable service availability for each and every institute. Information, it's a life cycle. Each and every information is classified into so many categories. Information lifecycle management tries to control the type of data, availability, criticality, and the location of this data. Because so many data comes into time, turns to be very old, obsolete. You don't need it anymore. It has to go somewhere else. It should not be available for everyone. Reduce the problem on the infrastructure that we occupy a huge number of data. So information lifecycle management is part where you categorize and you control information where it should reside eventually and how you're going to handle it. Some of it might be end up destroyed. Some of it might be end up in archiving solutions. So business continuity belongs to the part which is related to the security. Security is securing information, comes through many stages in many, let's say, many areas of the infrastructure. Technology partners, they have presented many technologies. It was very interesting that they have covered data protection where it resides, data protection while it's transmitted across the network. All these stuff is protected by so many technologies from different technology partners. Failure or proof environment type of failures. We have a lot of failures these days, and some of it well known, and some of it is unpredictable. Some of it related to end users, some of it related to electricity, disasters, or even sometimes it ends up with very bad behavior from technical people dealing with their environment. So a protection is a must to provide service availability. A plan to do all the job, you have to understand the business continuity. To understand business continuity, it's education. As you've seen in the last slide from Fortinet, he was insisting that education is a crucial part because it's really a crucial part. If somebody is planning to do something, he has to know each and every stage and should be educated very well in a way that he should plan it very well. Otherwise, he's going to miss something. He's going to ignore something. It might end up in a disaster, although he was doing a lot of planning. Business continuity, it's a continuous service availability. It's not like when I say a disaster recovery. This is why we call business continuity is a proactive. It's a complete procedures and activities done by both, which is actually the one who is going to provide the service and the one who is doing consultancies to deploy the different technologies. If you're trying to be proactive, that means you have to predict many things, and you have to plan each and every stage of a business continuity through which you have to predict disasters, human failures, end user misuse, and so on. Doing this, you will make sure that to deploy the right technology. In so many cases we have seen, because we have been doing a lot of, I'm proud to say that we have done a lot of business continuity, and it's till this moment, it's serving the most critical services, and we haven't seen much of interruption due to the very precise planning and related details. Technologies deployed depends on many factors. So you have to specify, are you going to be proactive or are you going to be just reactive? Disaster recovery is, as the name states, recovery. You're trying to recover after you have a disaster. So it's going to take a lot of time. Services will not be available. People, they will start complaining. And you will lose a lot of business if it's private. Even the public sectors, they serve their services, and it's a kind of an income for the government also. So they will expect a lot of loss, complaints, and the most critical things that they will not do the job, and it will be like a complete disaster for someone not to do his job. If you link this into a systems, through systems, that if somebody is coming with a food coming from outside Kuwait and you're trying to put it inside the customs, it has to be released within a few hours. If somebody links this kind of information into the service availability, he will know that it's very crucial. You cannot let food stay in the customs area for more than 2 hours, let's say, or 1 day. So there are some specifications through which, if they fail to release it at that point of time, all this has to be demolished by the health ministry. So there are so many regulations and cases. If you do the planning, you have to go through the business you're trying to serve. If it's customs, if it's Ministry of Interior, if it's oil and gas, and so on, banking systems, all of them under regulations from the central bank. It's not their choice to go for high availability. They were forced to do this because a service like banking for the citizens, it's very crucial. Government has to make sure that it's done on the right way. So many regulations comes from so many government entities into the private, even on the public. So they have to stick with that vision and the policies through which they have to apply it on their technologies, their infrastructure, I mean. So this is proactive and this is reactive. Planning for these things, it's reflected into so many things. Technologies, different technologies we have. If you try to make it like zero downtime, it's going to cost maybe 3-4 times. If you try to, let's say, plan for service might go for half an hour. In so many cases, we have managed to maintain a zero downtime for so many customers, which is not actually zeros. I mean like seconds or sometimes minutes. In the old days, protection used to be like using backup technologies. Backup tapes, you take it, you hide it. Sometimes you face a trouble, you have to recover it. But recovering from tapes is not reliable. So many things we went through the history and we end up with so many technologies. These technologies provides very complex protection for the information in a way that it makes it automated. It provides flexibility of doing 3-4 sites rather than having one site. It provides also service availability, interruption minimized for their services. Technologies, it's coming from many vendors, but once you specify this, it depends on all the way you have to do it based on these factors, which is recovery point objective, recovery time objective. If somebody says, I need my service not to be interrupted at all, that means it's going to be very high cost, different technologies. Time is the time where you have to check yourself. Like if somebody says, I can afford 2 hours downtime, means this will be reflected into the planning of business continuity. 2 hours, rather than having 10 minutes, could be the difference of $10 million. That's why it's very crucial to maintain all these aspects, take it into the study of your planning for business continuity. So many terminologies here. I don't want to go through it because it means a lot of things like cold site, manual backup. Cold site means it's a cold site. Use it after 1 day, 2 days, but it's cold site. That's why it stays off till you need it. So many things, but let's go through the other slides. High availability versus continuous availability. High availability means you want to have high available. High available means service available, but you might end up like 1 hour interruption. Continuous, you will have to make sure that your service is continuous, running up and running within a few seconds. You might have a disaster, but in a few seconds you will have continuous service on the other side. Now technologies evolves. It's getting less. For continuous availability, it's coming almost seamless. Seamless failover, we call it, seamless interruption. You're not going to notice it because technologies come in this area with so many, what we call it, software developed by so many vendors. It tries to take a lot of precautions and measures during the behavior of failover and failback and maintain the services. I heard about one of the companies it's Netflix actually. Netflix is doing its service and it's trying to challenge itself every few minutes or every few hours. Trying to shut down a service, it try to come up with a service again and so on. It's challenging itself because it cares about their service availability. They are content provider, Netflix. So this stage, we'll talk about it, why they do the testing continuous every half an hour or every 1 hour. Doing a plan and doing a deployment, it's not the challenge. The challenge is to maintain and to test. Enterprise resilience related standards. So many standards talks about business continuity and security. These standards has to be applied so you get your certifications. This certification is never meant only to certify. It's meant to have a standard. It meant to let people to stick with their details, and it goes through auditing and testing. This is the organization structure through which you have to deal with many aspects when you plan your business continuity. Technical aspects, physical aspects, management. You have to be aware how to do things, because if you leave a business continuity to someone technical, he might end up selecting technologies. For him, it's a matter of servers being up and running. It's not the case. It's about business people who's talking about their service, and they will talk about their the type of service they provide and how they're gonna make it, let's say, available for their customers, how it's gonna behave. Each and every service, it's unique. Some of the service might end up like it's not really crucial. We can maintain our business up and running for crucial services, for specific services. This kind of a planning is to do a very better way to utilize your investment. Because everyone shows up and he says, my service is critical. This is not true. It has to be evaluated, it has to be studied, it has to be shared, it has to be discussed. And then you come up with these things. That's why there are so many people involved in this process. Information security aspects. We've been lately facing a lot of challenges from our customers. That's why we work with our technology vendors to address each and every area of customer concerns. Some of them, they worry about their data center. They have a production and they have a place where they host their information. And they will say, if I replicate my information from one place to another, and that place is hosted with another premises, how can I make sure that my data is not exposed? So these things is a challenge through which we work with our technology partner to address each and every area. Some of it related to transmission, some of it related to the area where information will stay for some time, and some area related to archiving and backups. Backups, it's been there for a long time and it's going to continue being there. One of the challenges for many customers that if I lost one tape, that might end up with someone they don't know, or somebody steal it. There is a lot of information on this tape that can be exposed. Part of our business continuity planning is to maintain the backup procedures. If it's backup to disk or backup to tapes. Tapes, physical media. It's very easy to be stolen, very easy to be misused. But if you provide the security related to these areas, you will prevent someone from hacking your data while it's being transmitted, and the information which is on the tapes, it will be encrypted. Encryptions is part of technology partners' continuous business through which they do testing, validating. They have a lot of challenges, by the way, huge challenges. Nobody can imagine the way they are running their R&Ds to maintain their products reliable, so they can make sure customers, they can rely on the encryption, these technologies of protecting their information. Business continuity transforming. It's transforming in so many ways. We've seen lately that everybody is talking about virtualization. We've seen a lot of people talk about cloud. Cloud is nothing except a journey. Cloud is a terminology. Terminology set for some few aspects. But a journey will take people from a place to another place. They will educate themselves and they will learn a lot. If they learn, they will know more. That's why everybody is talking about cloud should start with a journey. Transforming of business continuity, the transformation that's happening on the technology, it's happening on even the security part. If you have seen, they have presented many products through which a lot of them becoming intelligent. This is the area where it's really challenging for them. Intelligence, it has to be intelligence, because we have a virtual environments, we have automation. Cloud service is all about data availability through integrated with what we call it virtualization and automation of the service. So many things comes under the cloud. Once we started to go through this with the government, they started to say, I'm not going to have my information outside. I will have it inside in premise. That's why we end up doing a private cloud. So this is part of the journey, to have a private cloud, even if they go for a small environment through which they start to experience these things. Okay, the plan. It's a procedure. A procedure, everybody will say that, I know the plan. I have a service, I need to make it available. I have this technology, I will deploy it, and I will do the failover and failback. Everybody talks about this. Or they will talk about links. So many people, they miss some few details, will let them invest, and they will never let them to do deployment of business continuity. Why we need the business continuity plan? To maintain our service up and running, to make sure that customers are happy, they get their service done, especially for critical services that are served by vital areas. Business continuity, it's there for vital resources. I think a lot of people here, they are not aware of what's happening with water. Water, they used to have all the time emergency, and they used to have all the time business continuity. This service, it's never used to be like vital. If somebody is not able to draw money, it's not really vital like somebody is not trying to get his water to his house, or even a water reaching his house. If somebody is, let's say, a water tank, water reservoir. I used to be in one of the fresh companies 10 years back. This company used to manage water across many countries. So their specialization is to monitor reservoirs, emergency plans, business continuity. So they used to put me in the middle between those guys, the technical team of water management. I am a technical guy, but they were linking their business into my services, because my service used to serve the emergency room, and you cannot imagine how critical is that, through which a very big board with a lot of technologies monitoring each and everything, even the water quality. If the water is not in a quality good enough to serve to the citizens, they will immediately trigger something, alert, somebody will stop the water distribution across that area, and they have to think of another emergency to provide the water. They cannot stop the water. So they stop it from this side, and they have to run it from the other side. That's why business continuity is very crucial. It's not even for the technology, but used to be there for a long time, many years, for the vital services. Now, these are part of the things that we expect that services might be affected. It could be power outages. It's very well known, many things. Thank God we don't have that much of disaster recovery, natural disaster. Thank God. And all what we have actually these days, it's about a challenge about physical location, power and fire, unexpected updates and batches. Sometimes a very silly batch might end up putting your service down. That's why productions always, in so many customers' side, they have test and development. They do test and development. And they have business continuity in a way that you can split between the two sides and even try on the production. If it's not going to work, you have your DR running. And by the way, we don't use DR in production all the time at very specific locations. A customer might have 3 sites, and he might have a production across the 3 sites. Production means service is production from that side. Usually we use this method is to distribute the services. If one of the places goes down, the service will be transformed automatically to one of the other 2 sites, let's say. Who should participate in business continuity planning? A lot of people, as I said, business decision, technical people, even finance. So many people like who's going to provide the cost of a service being down. That's why finance should be there. A technical people who's doing the service, a technical people who's managing the infrastructure for the service, and the top management of each and every organization, because it's after all reflected into the investment and the way you're going to serve your customers. Business continuity planning phases, these are the phases. As I said, everybody can think that it's easy to be done. It's not an easy job. even if it's a small size customer. And when I said that all the planning relies on these two, 5 and 6, this is based on our experience in Kuwait. We have seen a lot of things happening when the time comes for a disaster, because no one was doing testing. So they did the deployment till number 4, till they implement analysis and all these things. They put all the technologies together. They tested once, and they said it's production. So that's why they tested once, and they never maintain it. Testing means you have to test and test and test. If without testing, you will not be able to make sure that your service will be off and you will be able to recover. I have one of the most prestigious customers here. The top manager used to challenge his team. He bought and he spent a lot of millions on a technology to build the business continuity for few seconds downtime interruptions. That's it. So he wants to challenge them. They said, project is deployed, it's our project, and they have tested it, and we've done a couple of procedures to maintain it, and we provide them all these things. What he did when he was going home at 4 p.m., he just went inside the data center production, unplugged electricity from the major storage system, and he went outside the premise. He did not call anyone. So part of the procedure was that an action plan taken in the case of disaster. They used to have their monitoring system to alert people, and they were able to recover in a few seconds. That's unplanned testing. He was challenging in unplanned testing. Unplanned testing, that means it's very critical because no one is aware, no one is available. So he did disruption. They will take time to monitor to be alerted, and will take time to gather information, and they will take time to
5
bring the
دقائق
service up.
باقي.
Sorry?
الوقت المتبقي 5 دقائق.
Okay, thank you. It's over almost. So that's why testing and maintenance is very crucial. Business continuity prerequisites. These are the prerequisites. As I said, these things are reflected into the technologies and the place where you serve your disaster recovery. Investment, money, and the skills. Skills, as mentioned by technology partner, is very crucial, through which you have to maintain a team to take a fast action in case of a disaster. Business continuity management, it's the way you're going to manage failures. So there is always a team for technical to deploy, there is always a team to maintain, test, and the management is the one who's controlling the show for all this. It's what we call it actually in some places, emergency team. And that's all.
شكرا. نفتح باب المناقشة إذا في أي أسئلة للسادة المحاضرين. في أي سؤال ممكن تسألون السادة المحاضرين؟ إذا ما في أسئلة نشكر السادة الحضور ونشكر السادة المحاضرين وندعوكم إلى الغداء في القاعة الثانية. شكرا.